I really do appreciate this. I said to one of my friends, if we had 5 people there, so good. So I'm delighted that you took the time and made the effort to come. Kelly, what I think I'll do is sing 2 songs because my transition has been from standing firmly within folk music to stepping into prose, which is a 3-verse chorus situation into a huge amount of space. So yeah, we're gonna do a couple of tunes and then I'll read some and have enough time to answer questions if you want to. I spent a couple of days rereading the book trying to find the good bits.
You better see.
What I want out of the book is pretty much the same thing I want out of a song. Is I want to be involved. I want to feel moved. I want to be entertained. I have kind of a short attention span, and so it's got to be interesting, or I'm somewhere else behind the little animals. So this is one of the songs that, well, I'm going to, a quote from Bob Franke, who's a musician, said, "Oh, you know, we're just all a bunch of navel gazers." And I'm thinking, well, yeah, a lot of songwriters, you're looking at yourself. A lot of writers, you're looking at yourself. He said, but if you go far enough in, you come out in the universe. So this is one of those. If there is a bluebird of happiness, I reckon some misery visits that nest. I'll open my window and look to the sky, make your break silence, go on and fly. You fly away, sweet misery. It's been too long that you stayed here with me. Surely someone else needs your company. Sweet misery, you are free to leave. An occasional dark day works out all right. Serious because all of us have had sadness and things happen, and the thing I enjoy about other writers and what I try to do in mine, we need to get, is to build trust so that if you are willing to follow me to the hard places, there are going to be some real silly places to counterbalance it. People used to tell me, you just try to put too much in songs. You try to make a book out of a song. So I never understood that because my analytical way of writing a song is to imagine the movie and sing to it. So they're all movies in my mind. So this is one that started out as a... where's my water?
Oh, it's right here.
When I get excited, my mouth gets dry. This started out as a children's song, and I thought, I'm going to write a real spooky, fun children's tune. And when Kyle did the interview, I don't know if you heard, but he did a wonderful job of asking questions on KUAF. He said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I follow the thread. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, you just find a beginning, and then you just kind of pull it, and you follow where it goes, and it'll open up and develop. Well, this song, Coyote with Whiskey on His Breath, came back and bit me. And so it really is not about, it's not a kid's song, is it? But, and I really appreciate these two people because they're wonderful. Friday was baby day, on Sunday we had church. In between the two, Mom took us kids on up the mountain to camp among the birch. We don't like beneath the stars while she painted stories across the sky of princesses and warriors in fancy ponies that could fly. Guaranteed to scare us kids to death was the story of the tiger with whiskey on his breath. He'd sneak up while you sleep, steal away your heart, hide an empty bottle out there in the dark. Oh, hush now, what's that she'd say moving around out there? Ooh, what do I smell? Sticking matted mangy high up here. arthritis had gotten in my hands years ago. Well, at least I faked my way through it. It is such a treat. I mean, probably flush. I've spent the last couple of days reading through the book and trying to figure out what the juicy bits were, or the parts that would seem the most real, that you might feel on a visceral level. And I've decided it's impossible. But I thought of some things that I obviously do not have an academic background in writing. My first interest was in zoology and music. So a lot of my approach in music has been the same for this writing. And it is so much fun to have characters sort of materialize, and talk to you. And one of them is a lady named Miss Henrietta. And Miss Henrietta has 3 short stories in this book, but she's told me 2 more since this book came out. So I think we'll probably be hearing a little bit more about her. So let me see if I timed this right. If I talk real fast, you won't be able to follow it. This first appeared in the Ozark Mysteries, Volume 4, and it was such a treat to have someone else actually publish one of the stories. So it's the first one in the book. She moved her face close to mine, close enough that I could see the little crinkled lines around her eyes and smell her lilac body powder. She said she had something very important to tell me. It was something that most people know deep down in their bones, but they choose to ignore. She told me that because she saw the red-tailed hawk hesitate on the wind the moment that I called out, "Hello!" And because it was my 11th birthday, today she would tell me about the doors. I came to know Miss Henrietta and Harry on my walks. They lived in a rambling structure. It looked like a 2-wheeled trailer parked long enough to grow roots. Odd bits and pieces of stuff they'd found discarded magically came together to make more rooms. Whatever she was doing when I came by, Miss Henrietta would stop. We'd sit outside in aluminum lawn chairs, listen to the woods, drink hot tea, and best of all, we'd talk. Where are the doors? My curiosity was up. Well, they're everywhere. If they've been used recently, it's easier to find them. She took a sip of tea and looked up into the branches to follow the movements of a tiny bird. Some are tanager. What do they look like? It's that small scarlet bird that just flew up into the black oak. She pointed up. No, I was determined. What do the doors look like, Miss Henrietta? Oh, they're invisible. You can't see them, but you can feel them if you pay good attention. Where do the doors go? The other side, dear. Don't be silly. Her voice was soft and matter-of-fact. I don't understand. Miss Henrietta said it wasn't to worry. I soon would understand. She slowly leaned forward and straightened to stand, stretching with both hands on her hips, arching her back. The 2 lawn chairs we used for our visits were so faded the plastic webbing lacked any recognizable color. Looking up at her long, bony frame, I wondered how we'd become such good friends. And they go on a little walk, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. They've stopped a number of places, and Miss Henrietta has said, "Do you feel anything here?" And it's been kind of like, no, not really. And finally they're at another spot. And Miss Henrietta closed her eyes, turned her face to catch the sun. She smiled and seemed to relax, breathing deeply and slowly. "Do you feel this door?" she asked, eyes still closed. Yeah, I think so. And I did feel something a little different. To have a grown person encourage this kind of thing was so unusual, so special. Imagining swirling colors around us, I knew I could never tell my parents or anyone about this. For a moment, everything seemed more alive and real to me, like in a movie when the music gets loud and the picture's right there and enormous. I don't know how long we stayed that way, arms out and feeling the world humming. And I wanted to tell you the end of the story, but we're not supposed to do this. On time. Don't worry. Okay. Thanks. Years ago, Kyle Kellums was nice enough to say, well, why don't you come in and read some of your stories? And so this is one that was years ago. I don't have a real good sense of time, so, it was more than 5 years ago and less than 30. So that's about all I know. But it's, this is one of those navel-gazing things. It is really an essay, but it's along the memoir thing. My first trip to India was astounding. And to try to put little bits of those feelings into something on the page is really great. Oh, by the way, I hear that serious writers suffer. So, I'm not. I love the adventure of just getting out into my imagination. And it's such a privilege to leave the everyday concrete things around you, the things that you need to do, the things that should be in order, and just to let your mind fly. I just love it. So, anyway, this is called Glorious Cacophony, and I don't think I told you the first one is called Miss Henrietta's Invisible Doors. One bird, deep in pre-dawn, dark, inky jungle, calls, and another, 10 feet from me, answers. For a moment, I forget where I am and reach out to touch Arthur. The texture of concrete greets my fingertips, not the warmth of my true love's shoulders and chest. An overhead ceiling fan whooshes, and I remember that Arthur is in Arkansas, and I am here on the second floor sleeping porch in southern India. Yes, Mom, the taxi driver had said. Kerala is much like being in Indian Hawaii. During the terrifying ride from the airport into the countryside, I mumbled, I hope it's much not like being the last day on my planet. We careened along the road, narrowly missing cows, kids, cars, goats, carts, motorized rickshaws, and women carrying bundles on their heads. I survived to this isolated place to enjoy a December pre-dawn as Mother Nature's orchestra tunes up and begins her melodious cacophony. The early ones, those first two bodacious calling birds, are joined exponentially. Within 15 minutes, the din spirals in volume and diversity. As I grab a flashlight and search for my handheld tape recorder, a speaker atop a Muslim shrine 2 miles south of my sleeping porch crackles into life and broadcasts a morning call to prayer. Before I can find a recorder, another sound blasts from the north, closer than the Muslim call. This sound has a rollicking, neon-beaten, modern flavor. What I'm hearing is popular Indian movie music coming from a 10-by-10 dirt floor dwelling on the narrow path just beyond the gate. A peacock on top of a palm thatch roof joins in. This acoustic confusion is delicious. As a mixture of is delicious as a mixture of aromatic spices ground with a white marble mortar and pestle. As light filters into the jungle, I can see ruffled pink and red hibiscus blossoms within arm's reach of where I'm sleeping. Who from my hometown would have imagined 2-story tall hibiscuses blooming in winter? There are red fruits hanging 10 feet up the trunks. Date palms make tall silhouettes, while fruit bats fly by in slow motion to the morning soundtrack. It's an increasingly competitive mixture of wildly different sounds and sights. I decide that I need a camera. Yes, a camera, as well as a tape recorder. As the greens begin to look green instead of black or gray, another sound joins the symphony. 10 feet away, my neighbor's outdoor speaker broadcasts morning sacred songs from the ashram. 3 women's voices in Malayalam fill the air with Hindu song, joining the birds, the moving music, the cows, and the Muslim prayer. I can tell that my favorite singer is there. Her voice is rich and mellow and controlled, a vibrant contrast to the traditionally higher, more nasal tones of the older women. The first time I heard Ben's voice, I was sitting cross-legged on the floor behind her, and I imagined I was floating on a river she sang. This was in Texas, where the music sailed unopposed on the summer air, nearly as hot as India's winter temperatures. Sleeping in Cars is an autobiographical essay, and it's the one that most people believe was complete fiction. So I've taken little portions of it, and maybe I'll be able to leave you hanging as well as Jeff. It's night, mouse-like, quivering. I wrap both arms around my green backpack. Lying here, holding on and listening, I keep telling myself to calm down, breathe, don't panic. Seconds ago, I awakened in mid-scream from a solid, exhausted, dead sleep. Someone had grabbed my ankle. A startled male voice shouted something gruff in Arabic. Then I felt a shudder and heard the car door slam. Here, curled up in the back seat of an abandoned car, my mind scurries frantically. Is he coming back or waiting outside to get me as I leave, or who is he? He was a momentary silhouette against an enormous black sky full of stars. The heavens looked crisp and peaceful spread above the Mediterranean, but my heart hammered. Minutes moved like hours and marked the moments scolding myself and praying, alternating between the two with equal conviction. How could I end up in this mess? I'm a fairly intelligent 23-year-old American woman. Right. Sleeping in an abandoned car that's mired axle deep in sand outside the city walls of Gibraltar is smart. Dear God, please don't let him come back. My obituary might read, she died violently on a tiny beach that pokes off the southern coast of Spain. Her body was found in an abandoned car. No, too melodramatic. How about on the northern gatepost to the Mediterranean Sea? No, that sounds like a travel brochure. Sleeping in cars has been a recurring theme in my life. Rather than an image of poverty, promiscuity, or desolation, it's been a recurring symbol of hope and adventure. I was 4 when my mother converted a Model A Ford into a camper. The trunk was our kitchen. We left Woodstock, New York, heading south to folk festivals and something better. Certain it was just over the next mountain. I was 4 and we were going somewhere, just like gypsies. Tonight, as I watch the stars over Gibraltar, I go back in time to the 4-year-old me watching stars from a different back seat of a car. The rooster screeches daybreak in North Carolina woods. I follow a big man in bib overalls as he feeds the chickens. Through an open farmhouse window, I'm mesmerized by the sight of a boy sleeping shirtless. Mother has permission to camp here. I wonder if that includes permission to see my first half-naked boy. I can still taste the cool, moist air that blanketed the Smoky Mountains that morning. Tonight, this Mediterranean night, the air is moist, but it has a warmth and stickiness absent in my North Carolina recollections. An hour or more has passed. The Moroccan man who grabbed my ankle hasn't returned. His face is not peering into the window. I can relax my hold on the backpack and drift back into sleep. I dream about shirtless boys sleeping while white lace curtains float out open car windows. I call chickens who run to me along white sand beaches, clucking in Arabic. The last part